G'day folks, and welcome to the February update of Great Chesterford Junction. This update is about the block instruments, and this is the final part of that story because the block instruments are complete. This is the installation at Great Chesterford Junction, and it just fits in with the control panel there. This is the installation at Little Bardfield. And finally, this is the installation at Bamford, and this is a temporary installation here for the moment because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to set this area up scenery wise. There may be a fascia here, I'm not sure, but anyway, it's secured to these two bits here, and it moves around a little bit, but it's temporary, as we said. So how do they work? Well, it's all based on rail brakes and rotating switches. So let's have a look at this room here, for example. Track comes out of the train room in there ahead of us, and in behind my bench here, and you can see I've got a couple of bits of scenery on there at the moment on the bench, but anyway, we come over to approximately this point here where we've got the two rails broken. We've cut through the two rails there, and then if you continue around the circuit around to this other part of the room here where the bridge is, we've also got a brake in here as well. I mean, there's a natural brake for the bridge to fold down, but I've got an electrical brake on both rails as well, which is connected up to a switch. So what we've got in this room here is a big, completely dead, isolated section if we want it to stay that way. Now the way that we get that to work is via the block instruments, and we'll have a look at them now and try and explain how they determine how this section works. Okay, here we are back at Great Chesterford Junction here, and our instrument is on, and the first station up the branch line will be Little Bardfield. So Little Bardfield talks to Great Chesterford here, and so we have the Little Bardfield named instrument sitting here at Great Chesterford. So any information that comes in will come in via this instrument about Little Bardfield. And what that's telling me at the moment is that the line is blocked at Little Bardfield. So that big isolated section, the two rails are cut, in effect, electrically dead. Now the way to move a train between Little Bardfield and Great Chesterford is to set this rotating switch in the correct position. So what it means is if I set the switch to train online, which will light up an LED at Little Bardfield, that actually activates the two rail brakes at the Great Chesterford end of the line. So those two rail brakes are now switched on. However, if I was to move over to line clear, only one rail is broken. So the way the two instruments work together to move a train between the two locations is that one instrument will be set at line clear and the other instrument will be set at train online. So in effect, the big loop that we have going around the room, at any given time, the maximum brakes that are connected is only 3. So that allows 2 transformers to work the same set of track. You must have one rail brake in between to allow 2 transformers to work. If we have all the instruments set at train online, I'll just change the instrument at Little Bardfield. What that means is that the commutator here is set, which means the Great Chesterford end of the rail brakes is on, and what that LED tells me is that the Little Bardfield end of the rail brakes is turned on as well. So we've got a completely live track all the way through, and that can be operated by one controller at either this end or at the other end. So I've got a controller for each section, so once we do that, we've got a completely live track all the way through, which allows me to run my automatic shuttle service. So when I get to the point where I just want to run the shuttle by itself, I just put all the instruments to train online, and it can be operated from here via the automatic system. So we might have a look at how we move a train about. To move trains about between the instruments, or between the sections if you like, we need to have a code in place. Now what I've done here is develop a bell code which is common to all the instruments, and I've just picked the eyes out of codes that I've found online, and it's a simple version, but it's just a clip-on thing which can be changed at any time and can be made more difficult or more prototypical or simpler, I suppose, if you like. So yeah, we use this code here at the moment. I only made this up this morning, so we'll see how we go with that. So you can see this all relates to how many taps we do on the Morse key to activate the bells. So call attention is 1 tap, train entering section is 2, train cleared the section is 2 and 1. So where there's 2-1, it would be 2 taps, a brake, and then 1. Just think Morse code. And for example, to send a DMU is 3 taps, a brake, and then 2. So that's how that works. Okay folks, well we've got a diesel rail car sitting over there in the bay platform at Great Chesterford Junction. So what we'll do now is go through the process of how we send that up to Little Bardfield. Okay folks, the way we're going to do this is, first of all, we have to turn on this toggle switch here. This toggle switch forms an electrical brake in the Morse key, so nothing will happen while that switch is off. And when that switch is on, it also lights an LED on top of the instrument at Little Bardfield. So Little Bardfield has 2 instruments, so if it hears a ding on the bell, the LED will indicate to the operator over there which instrument is the one that's actually calling, because the bells have the same pitch. So to call Little Bardfield, our first thing we do is to indicate that we're calling. So we turn our switch on, which lights the LED on Little Bardfield, and then we call Little Bardfield with 1 tap. Little Bardfield now replies in exactly the same way to acknowledge that they've received the call. Turn on the toggle switch and 1 tap. Right, now Great Chesterford wants to ask Little Bardfield if the diesel rail car can be sent up to Little Bardfield, and the code for that is 3-3. So the code goes in. Little Bardfield replies with exactly the same code to indicate that the line is clear. And then moves its commutator to line clear. Great Chesterford then replies that the train is entering the section with 2 taps and moves the commutator to train online. Now the train can enter the section. The operator now at Little Bardfield lets the operator at Great Chesterford know that the train has cleared the section by the code, which is 2 and 1, and then moves the commutator to line blocked, and then turns off the Morse key, which turns the LED off on the other instrument. The operator at Great Chesterford replies with the same code to acknowledge the code has been received, or the message has been received, and puts his instrument to line blocked and then turns off the key. So folks, to send the train further up the line from Little Bardfield to Bamford, it's exactly the same process, and it's set up exactly the same way. These instruments have turned out with, I mean, they've got 25 pin connectors in the back of them. Out of those 25 pins, 20 of them are utilised between boxes, so that's 20 wires travelling between each box. In addition to that, there's the power input, which is 12 volts DC via a mono plug, plus we have 4 wires that go out to the track isolated brakes. So it's quite a wiring epic, folks. And yeah, but now it's all done, everything's working, everything's tested. It seems to work fine, and I can even run my auto shuttle. So yeah, that's about all I can tell you at the moment. Yeah, it's finished. So that's the end of the story. Another milestone for me. Anyway, I'll keep you updated on how things go with the railway. I'll see you soon. Bye.